Hi everyone, I hope you guys are doing well. For this week's video, I've decided to join in on Criminale's March Mystery Madness. So for this challenge, I've decided to read books from the 50s. So I'm doing one reread and two new books. The first one is I've already started as an audiobook. It's 450 from Paddington. Which is from 1957, Agatha Christie, Miss Marple. I love a good Miss Marple. That's what I need, you know? So I've started listening to the audiobook with Joan Hickinson, which is, I think, the best adaptation of Miss Marple. She's the best Miss Marple. She's Miss Marple for me, like David Suchet is Poirot. That's it. There's no argument about that. So I'm kind of like halfway through it almost. So the story of 450 from Paddington is Mrs. McGillicuddy. She's going to visit her really good friend, Jane Marple. So she's taking a train from Paddington to St. Mary Mead. And then whilst her train is moving, she sees a man on another train killing a woman. And she's like, this is a murder. But no one takes her seriously. So when in doubt, just call Miss Marple. That's what she does, obviously. So she gets there. She talks to Marple, and Marple takes her seriously. She's like, what? That's absolutely wrong. We're gonna figure it out. So she calls Lucy Islesborough, who is a young woman who graduated from Oxford or Cambridge. I can't remember now. I think it's Oxford, but I might be wrong. Basically, even though Lucy has graduated from Oxford, she has been able to leverage her position in society by working almost as a cleaning lady for rich families, which is very smart, so she kind of helps them. She's sort of a Mary Poppins type of character in a way, because she never stays with the family for too long. She always moves on because she needs to help other people. So I find that very interesting. I love Lucy. Lucy is one of my favorite characters that Agatha has written. I would love to have more books about her. But basically, Agatha. So basically, Marple gets Lucy to work on this old mansion house for a family in Rutherford Hall. So when she gets there, she ends up finding the body, which starts the investigation. So right now, I'm on the part of the audiobook where Lucy just found a body. So maybe I'm not totally halfway through it, but still. And now we're kind of like learning about the family of Rutherford Hall, but also trying to start convincing people that a murder has happened because now there is a body. So yeah, so that's how far along I am with it. But the other two books, so I'm also going to be reading Uncle Paul from Celia Fremlin, which is from 1959. It's almost like not in the 50s anymore, but I love Celia Fremlin. I've read Long Shadow a couple of years ago now during Christmas, because Faber has reprinted her old books, and I'm going to be very honest with you. I was in the UK for Christmas, and I saw the cover of The Long Shadow, and I thought, this is a murder mystery set in Christmas. I need to buy it. Loved the book. I want to read more from Celia Fremlin, so this is just an excuse for me to do that. And the last book for this vlog is Death of a Bookseller from 1956. It's one of the British Library crime classics edited by Martin Edwards. So I'm very excited about that. I don't want to know anything about that book. I'm just going in. It's a bibliophile murder mystery, and that's what I need sometimes. So in the next few days or maybe weeks, we don't know how long I'm gonna be filming this vlog for, I'm going to be taking you guys out and about a little bit. We might go to some waterfalls, because by the way, I'm filming this a little bit before this video goes out. So there's gonna be carnival, so my parents were coming to visit our new house for the first time. So I'm in a touristy region, which is a bit far away. So there might be waterfalls, there might be other small towns near me. And also, the Oscars are about to happen, and this might be good or bad foreshadowing. We don't know, but I don't know if you guys know this. We have our highest number of nominations ever with 3. So we're going for Best International Film, Best Actress, and Best Picture. I'm very hopeful. I love cinema. I love Brazilian cinema. So this is like a great moment for us. I might take you guys along for it in our new big projector screen. Although, if it's bad news all around, you might not see that. We shall see what happens, okay? But yes, so today's a beautiful day. I might go to town to buy a few things that I need to make my own pizza for the weekend. We shall see. I'm going to quickly show you guys what's happening out there, because I think it's a beautiful day. So hey, look, this is my view when I'm sitting down here talking to you. the house is finally getting ready. Finally. So we'll soon have a bookcase filled with books. We have a center table. Everything will be ready for my parents to come. So yay, looking forward to finishing this moving stage of my life. So yes, I'll see you guys soon with more updates on 450 from Paddington. So, Carnival has come and gone, and I have not updated you because my parents were here and I've been going out with them, which I guess you have seen in some of the images. Basically, we've been to the only waterfalls that are tame enough for me to go because I'm terrified of that. Also, I did not get in the water, but I just don't like waterfalls. I find them too dangerous. But I have been reading a lot. So I'm almost at the end of 450 from Paddington. So basically, I don't remember what I said the last time I updated you. But basically, the story is a classic Miss Marple. Miss McGillicuddy, who's friends with Marple, sees a woman being murdered on the train. No one takes her seriously. So she goes to Marple and says, hey, need help. A woman has died. No one's taking me seriously. No one is investigating that. So she sends Lucy, who is a very educated woman. She went to university in Oxford, so she's very, very smart. But she works almost as a cleaning lady, but in the style of Mary Poppins. She just stays with the families for a while. So Miss Marple sends her to this mansion in the countryside because she's like, this family, there's something wrong about that. So Lucy starts investigating to the point that she finds the body inside of a sarcophagus. And then this family is composed by an elderly father and his children and grandchildren. Some of his children have actually died. So there's the idea of like, oh, is this for money? Because one of the sons died in a war. They think, oh, is this the body of the woman who married him? Because he married a French woman and the sister got a letter saying that this woman was coming to visit her, but the woman never came. And then we discover, no, that woman is actually alive. Spoilers, by the way. Sorry. It's a very old book. It's from the 50s. So yes, so now we're closing and they're taking them seriously. They've brought in Marple to investigate. There's kind of like a romance blooming between Lucy and someone. I feel like I have half an hour left on the audiobook, which by the way is being read by Joan Hickinson. Love it. Love her at Marple. So yeah, that's great. By the way, I'm in the office, which is still very bare. I'm not showing you much of it because there's not much to show. But behind me, you can see the tiny piece of cardboard that we're using for a Poirot puzzle. Yes, I'm doing a Poirot puzzle, the big Poirot puzzle that you can buy at Waterstones. I don't know how best can I describe that. But yeah, so that's what I've been doing with Marple. And then I've started reading Uncle Paul last night. Uncle Paul, Celia Fremlin. I loved The Long Shadow, which I bought a couple of Christmases ago. Thought it was great. It's the same. Farber has been re-editing her books, so the covers are always beautiful. I'm obsessed with the covers. So far in Uncle Paul, I'm following, it's three sisters. One is a lot older. The two are older, and then you have the youngest one. The youngest one is called to the place where they're staying for a holiday. So the sister from the middle is staying in a caravan with her family, with the children, with a child. I think it's just a boy, if I'm not mistaken, and her new husband. The eldest sister, who's a bit problematic for them, rented a house there, and the sisters were very much against her staying there because of Uncle Poe. But it takes us a while to figure out what actually happened. So now I'm at a point of the story where the youngest sister, who's Meg, I think I'm terrible with names. I think her name's Meg, maybe mistaken. I will correct myself later if I'm mistaken. But yeah, so she's telling her friend, because she has this guy who's her friend, Freddie. He goes after her because he wants to see the sisters. And basically they've moved in, they've convinced the eldest sister to leave the house and stay in a hotel because they think, because this eldest sister is obsessed with the idea of Uncle Paul coming back and seeking his revenge on her. And now Meg has told Freddie what happened. So Uncle Paul actually married her eldest sister. She called him Uncle because she was a lot younger. She was a child when they got married. And they've discovered that Paul had an MO, basically. He had killed his first wife for the money, and he was going to do the same with his sister. But the thing is, he didn't actually kill. He didn't succeed in killing his first wife. He thought she died, but she didn't. She fell into something, and then she was alive, and she said, hey, he's actually a bigamist, and he tried to kill me, and he's going to try and kill his wife. And then Meg's other sister learned about that, and she was the one who basically said, hey, my husband's trying to do this. So that's where I am in the book. I'm still like, I think 30% in. So I'm looking forward as to what's going to happen. Like, will we actually meet Uncle Paul? That's a thing. I will come back later to report the end of these books and the beginning of the last one, because there's a third book on this video. Or will there be? Who knows? Really, who knows? But yeah, I'm curious. Have you guys read this book? I feel like I've only learned about Celia Fremlin because I saw the covers at Waterstones 2 years ago. And I was like, oh, this looks beautiful. And I bought Long Shadow and I loved it. So yes, I'm looking forward to reading more of Britain's Patricia. They like to use these ideas like, oh, she's Britain's Patricia Highsmith. And I'm like, no, let's not compare people like that. Both amazing writers. I'm really loving Celia Fremlin's work and I'm looking forward to reading more of her. So yes, so that's what it is. I will be back later with more news about the books. So I have finished 450 from Paddington and Uncle Paul. And then I've started the third book, which is The Death of a Seller. So I feel like we should have some updates here. 450 from Paddington, I was already very close to the end. I knew the end of the story. This is a reread of one of my favorite Agatha books. Might be one of my favorite Marples. Marple was my favorite Agatha recurring character. So yeah, I thought it was great. It's good because when you're reading these books that you love so much, but you haven't read them in a while, you kind of get to rediscover things. For example, I remember who the murderer was and why. But I did not remember that the denouement was so funny. I guess Mark was very ingenious with this one and trying to recreate the murder moment for Miss McGillicuddy to see and identify who the killer was. So yeah, so that was something I did not remember very well. And I was like, oh, that's very smart. That is very smart. That's why I like Marple so much. So yeah, I'm not going to say much, so I don't give you spoilers, but it's a very interesting and intricate and very smart denouement. And then I got to basically sit down one afternoon and read the entirety of Uncle Paul because last time I've checked in, I was talking about how Meg, who is kind of like the protagonist of this story, she has these two older sisters, and the eldest one was married to a man who was accused of murdering of attempted murder of his first wife. And then, well, the eldest sister who was married to him, Mildred, was the one who gave him away to the police. But then, right after I finished filming that video, I basically read Mildred telling Meg that, no, you were the one who actually uncovered him. Because you were the one who, as a child, looked at a newspaper photo of him and you identified him as the man who tried to murder his wife. So you were the one who told me, and that's how he got found out. So basically that's what she's saying. You can't stay in this house. You should stay either at the hotel or at the camping site with our other sister and her children. So you're not harmed because he's going to be after you. I mean, of course, he wanted to kill me, Mildred, because he was married to me, but you're the one to blame. So I think it was very interesting. It's not as fun, or the mystery is not as good as the Long Shadow, which is up there, but it's the other Celia Fremlin that I've read before. I think it's good, but it's a little bit obvious what happened to Uncle Paul. And I don't want to give spoilers because I feel like it's a very short book. You can read it in one afternoon. It's a fun book. It's a fun mystery for a summer day. You can imagine people on the beach and reading that, you know? But I've really liked it. Again, not as ingenious or as surprising as The Long Shadow was for me. But it's fun to see these families this entire family interacting. The men they're falling for in Meg's case. I mean, her neighbor, Freddie, who follows her. And how both Meg starts getting suspicious that Freddie is Uncle Paul, even though he's supposed to be a lot younger. But also the middle sister, Isabel, who just got remarried, basically suspects her husband of being Uncle Paul. And he's like, no, I'm going to check out what happened to that man. Because that's what's strange to me. Why wouldn't they be aware of what happened to Paul? Why wouldn't they research what happened to him? They're just like, okay with going to a place where he used to go, and not researching that. If a man went to jail because he had a plan of murdering your sister, you would Google that. I'm not Google that. That's stupid. You would try and figure out what happened to him before you go to that place. That would be my logic, I guess. Even back then, I know it was different back then. You would have to go through more loops. You'd have to jump through more hoops to get to whatever happened to Uncle Paul. But still, that to me is a bit far-fetched. But yeah. So that was Uncle Paul. I've really enjoyed it. I thoroughly recommend it. Just like The Long Shadow, although I prefer The Long Shadow. There's that thing about a Christmas mystery that gets me every time. So yeah, that was quite fun. And now I'm reading The Death of a Bookseller. I forgot the name of that writer, but I'll put the image of the book on the screen right now. It's one of the British Library crime classics that have been reprinted right now. So it comes with a foreword by Martin Edwards talking about how this was a book that was very difficult to find for a while. So people were like, ooh, how do I get it? And I'm really enjoying it, actually. It's basically, the book starts with a policeman in London patrolling a street late at night, and he sees this man who's drunk, and he stops him. He's like, well, hey, you should go home. And the guy's like, actually, I am on my way home, but I've just found this first edition of Keats's book, but that was Keats's edition to himself. So he signed it, the front cover, to himself, like from himself to himself. And this is a very rare book, and that's great. I'm going to make a lot of money out of it. And the policeman is like, hey, that sounds cool. I'm interested in rare books. And he's like, are you? Okay, so you should come home with me. I'm going to show you my collection. And they kind of become friends. And as they're becoming friends, he's starting to teach the policeman how to find rare books, what you should look for, and all of that. And then one day, the policeman is very excited. He found this first edition, and he wants to show his friend. And when he gets there, the guy has been murdered. He's been stabbed. So he called the police. The people who are investigating basically say, hey, good you have an alibi, good that you were working at the time, because he left his books to you. So he starts, so basically, in the UK, by the way, my boyfriend helped me understand this a little bit, but you have the uniformed policemen, and you have the people who actually, the people who investigate, the inspectors, detective inspector, who investigate the cases. They're not uniformed policemen. So this guy, our protagonist, is a uniformed policeman, but he gets invited by the detectives to work with them because he knew the man and he understands a little bit of this seedy side of vintage books in London, which I'm fascinated by that. I'm having a lot of fun with that because, first of all, they're describing places I know very well because I love going to secondhand bookshops in London, especially the Cecil. Is it Cecil Square or Cecil Road? You know what I'm talking about. If you're into secondhand books in London, you know which street I'm talking about. But it's a little street with lots of tiny secondhand bookshops, really antiquarian shops, and you find very expensive books in there, but you have like some very cheap ones too. So there's a good mix in there. So he's talking a lot about Tottenham Court Road, the area of Marble Arch, because one of the people who he suspects of having murdered a man usually goes to do her deals in a cafe over there. So for me, it is quite fun. I think it's very entertaining. It's incredibly entertaining because here's the thing where I am at. They have a suspect who's in jail. He was found basically at the house of the murdered guy before the murder happened. An old lady who's the neighbor thinks she saw him placing a phone call, I think, after the murder. He had a knife. The knife has disappeared. And the book, of course, the Keats book has disappeared. And then our protagonist is like, no, I don't think it was that guy. I actually don't think so. So he's investigating the other runners. They call themselves runners, like the people who would run around London trying to buy books so they could sell off and make profit off of that. So I'm really enjoying. I think it's a very fun book. It's about books. It's about rare books. So why wouldn't I like it? It's a mystery about books. That's it. So I'm enjoying it very much right now. I will be back next time to say what I thought of the end of the book. So yes, I'll see you in a second, I guess. For you, not for me, because I'm working today. But I'll finish it tonight, so yes. Hi, so it's a few days later again, and now I'm basically in Rio. I'm visiting my parents, so I'm at their house. And tomorrow's the day that this video goes live, so I need to update you guys on what I thought of Death of a Bookseller. Basically, I loved it. I thought it was a riot. It was incredibly fun. We keep following the sergeant and he meets different runners. I feel like I've explained it in a previous video what runners are. So it's basically these people back then who were running from one secondhand bookshop to the other trying to get the best deal so they can sell to other people. So he's getting some help, but is he able to trust these people? So that's the question that is basically surrounding the policeman for the entire book. And in the end, he does figure out who did the crime. And the ending is a little bit weird. It is the part of the book that hasn't aged very well. That's why they have a saying in the beginning of the book basically saying, well, this is a description of what happened at the time. Please beware of that. And you kind of understand why. I didn't find it incredibly offensive. It's just a bit jarring how he describes it. That's all I'm gonna say. I don't want to spoil the book. But yes, the ending is a little bit wacky. At the same time, we get this thing, which in Brazil we like to say it's the last episode of a soap opera, where you get to see what happened with every single person mentioned in the book. And it's actually quite heartwarming. I thought it was a bit weird. And then I'm like, no, I like this. We are alerted to what happened to every single character that has ever shown up on this book. But it's kind of nice. There's also a specific character at the end. She's the sister of one of the suspects, and they end up becoming a very big part of the book. I hate how she's described so badly. It's just how people at the time did not understand psychology very well, or at least how we see it today, because probably I'm not maybe for sure in 50 years from now we'll be like, what were we thinking back then? So yeah, it is a little bit problematic, and how she gets cured all of a sudden, it's a little bit offensive, but it is a nice book. He tries to give us a nice ending, a happy ending for everyone, and I find it quite heartwarming. I've really enjoyed the book. I want to read his other books, and I'm looking forward to reading more of his collection because I love it. So yes, I would like to know if you guys have read any of those books. I'm just very excited about the fact that I got to read 3 really nice books that made me have fun, because I'm about to go on a Frida McFadden journey again. I don't know if I'll make a video for this in English, but I'll definitely make it for our Portuguese channel. I may just kind of talk a little bit about it in here, and I don't really like Frida McFadden, so please wish me luck. And I'll see you guys in 2 weeks from now, because Virginia is here next week. So bye.